last question, last topic is what do you believe the will happen with AJ Green in free agency?
I think AJ Green is, he's not going to be a Bengal next year. I think can probably both agree on that. I really look towards wherever Marvin Lewis goes. I think AJ Green might as well end up. I look at the Lions. The idea of Marvin Lewis going to the Lions makes a lot of sense to me. The Lions are in need of not just being they just need to get out of the below average range. And I think Marvin Lewis in his career has been an above average coach. He's never been a great coach, but he's always led the Bengals to successful records, 9-7, 10-6. I think that's what the Lions need to go right now. And I think they're not going to be the division winners every single year. That's not the Lions, but they need a guy who's going to set them from the below average tier to the average tier. And I think Marvin Lewis can do that. I think it makes a lot of sense. And then after that, you can fire Marvin Lewis and get an above average coach. And then you can actually start contending for the Super Bowl. But the Lions are a couple of years out. I think they just need a new culture change. They need a new veteran guy to kind of settle in and really just reset the entire franchise as a whole, create a new a new environment for the Lions as a franchise. And I think Marvin Lewis could do that. And I think, I look at the wide receiver core. Marvin Jones might hit free agency. Kenny Golladay, they've mentioned, as possibly being a trade candidate or hitting free agency as well. I think that AJ Green makes a lot of sense for not only Marvin Lewis, but also for the Lions, as they kind of need a new guy in there in the event they lose one of Jones or Golladay. So that's my opinion right now. I think that makes the most sense. And I would definitely love to see, as a Bengals fan, seeing Marvin Lewis reunited with his wide receiver and AJ Green. But at the same time, anything's possible. He could definitely go to a contender as well. I know AJ Green wants to go to a contender. I also think of teams like the New Orleans Saints being a possible guy that could go there, a team that can go after him, or maybe even a team like the Washington football team, who is kind of in need of that second wide receiver across from Terry McLaurin. I already mentioned Campson and Stevenson, so I don't think they're at the same level of degree as a guy like AJ Green is. And that's a team as well who's just won the division and can easily do it again. So another team that could possibly be a contender. There's just a lot of teams overall. I think AJ will probably end up going to a team that is trying to go to the upper echelon of winning and not settle for going lower. So I think that it makes a lot of sense that a team like the Lions and the football team who are looking to improve on their records, it makes a lot of sense. I think he would go to one of those guys.
Pretty much every single team you mentioned kind of has what to do and what to say with this. The Lions, I mentioned early in the episode, I think Stafford will be traded I think the Lions will trade Matthew Stafford, I think, to the Patriots. Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones are both free agents this year for the Lions. I think the head coach of the Lions will be Robert Saleh. He's near the Detroit area. And with AJ Green being the free agent, Stafford, to me, like I mentioned, the Patriots, Stafford played with Green in college. Before, this doesn't even have to do really with Stafford, with going to the Patriots. But now, with possibly Stafford going to it, it does. Green to the Patriots makes a lot of sense. I thought that should have happened last year, him being traded to New England. You add Stafford, who he's familiar with. I mentioned Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. They're both free agents, both played with Stafford. The Patriots grab one of those guys. That's two really good wide receivers you add in the offseason. And then you also mentioned Marvin Lewis. I mentioned in my last episode, we did a head coach candidate for each team. And I said Marvin Lewis in Atlanta. Let's say Marvin Lewis goes to Atlanta. You would have AJ Green and Julio. That's just crazy to think about. And Hugh Jackson was on the show not too long ago, and he mentioned wherever Marvin goes, he's going to try to go. You would go back to Hugh Jackson. You would go back to Marvin Lewis. And he played college in Georgia. He's staying in his home state. To me, if are we talking about Lewis, I think Atlanta and Green goes to the Falcons, or also the Patriots joining Matt Stafford if he gets traded.
That makes a lot of sense as well. And I think it does make. I agree with you. I think wherever Marvin Lewis goes, I think we're going to look at AJ Green possibly being a candidate to go to that team, regardless of who the wide receiver core is, regardless of how good Julio and Calvin Ridley are. Marvin Lewis is going to want to have AJ Green, and if they were able to sign AJ Green next to Julio Jones, that would just be so entertaining to watch, because those are two of the all-time greatest wide receivers we've seen this last decade, and two of the top tier guys. I think that I also agree with you, though. You mentioned New England as a team, maybe even the Miami Dolphins, who also kind of need a quarterback or wide receiver, and are looking to win in the future. That also makes a lot of sense. There's a long list of teams, and I think AJ Green it's really going to be his decision on where he wants to go, and I can definitely see Marvin Lewis and possibly or the Atlanta area where the Atlanta Falcons are at. It makes a lot of sense if he wants to actually go there.